Cheaper than our producer's underage sister. Edgier than the stuff shown on late night television. Newer than Kim Kardashian's ex. Live from Orlando, it's Crazy Train Radio.
Hey, brother, this is Devon Dudley of the Dudley Boys, Team 3D, whatever you want to call me. But you're listening to the top radio show in the world, the Crazy Train Radio. And my brother, that I will testify to. Oh, testify.
Hey folks, and my producer bet me $20 I wouldn't say it, but let's get the tables and your wallets out for September 14th. What's that?
I said I knew you were going to do it.
Anyway, let me finish this off, jackass. But September 14th, Hope for a Single Mother presents Body Slamming Breast Cancer 2 in Melbourne, Florida. All proceeds are going to help a single mother who's dealt with breast cancer, and the man running the show, as far as the wrestling side of things, Devon Dudley. What's going on, Devon?
Hey, guys, how are you?
Pretty good.
Wonderful.
Good,
Well,
good.
first of all, obviously on the website, hopeforasinglemother.com, everything is on there. How did you get involved with this?
Well, the lady, Donna Sullivan, who basically organized it because her sister basically had just beat breast cancer about 2-3 years ago. She was one of the victims of it, and luckily survived, I should say, not victim, because she survived. But unfortunately, she had came down with it, and then, she was having problems paying her bills and this and that, because when you have to fight this disease, you basically, you lose your job because you can't go to work because you're going through chemo and it drains you and you can't do what you're supposed to do at work. And, the unfortunate thing is, the job has to let you go. And at that particular point in time, Donna's sister basically lost the job and lost pretty much, lose everything, her house, everything. And basically, she came in and helped her sister out and, during her time of need. And it came to her that, we can get other women who are battling this and basically, help them out. It would be something that we could probably do around the world, she was probably thinking. I mean, I know that's a little, out there to help people around the world, but you never know. And a small organization can turn into a big organization. And I was in the gym. We worked out at the same gym. And I happened to have met her sister that day in the gym after knowing Donna for some time. And, she had, told me that her sister was coming in to basically stay with her for a little bit because she had just beat the breast cancer. She was in the battle of getting her, her house back and basically getting all her bills taken care of, just so she can get back on her feet. And I thought it was a great thing. And she was telling me about her going around doing things like that. And I lost my grandmother in 1999 of February. My grandmother was the fifth of my family. She kept everybody in line. And when she passed away, it seemed like in a lot of families, when a person who is that strong of a figure passes away, the family seems to fall apart. And that's somewhat what happened in my, personal family where, aunts and uncles and cousins fought and all of that and so forth and so on. Well, I just didn't want to go through that anymore. And I would try to help other people who basically would have to go through that where, give them a fair battle. Cancer comes in and, knocks you on your ass, and a lot of times you just don't see it coming. We want to be able to go out there and help, these moms who are single, who have no one to turn to. We want to be the ones that come in and help them to pay their bills, to do what they got to do. So, they will be able to beat this thing head on and be able to
Jake, what was that follow-up you wanted to say?
So Devon, I was actually wondering about, are you involved with more than just one charity you're working on?
Well, this was the only one that I'd gotten involved with. You know, after being in WWE for as long as I was there, and being on the road so much, and then being in TNA, and then being on the road, although not as much as I was in WWE, but started to pick up. It was very hard for me to be able to get into, you know, the charities and things like that, because, you know, I'm also a dad, and I have 5 kids and 2 teenage boys who, you know, we put on the show a couple of times and this and that, and, you know, I like to be, you know, a dad, and my time is, you know, taken away from them from being on the road and traveling so much that it was very, very hard for me to try to really get into numerous, you know, amounts of charity events, because I would love to get involved in all of them, because a lot of them that are legit, that is, you know, they're all fighting for, you know, great reasons and great causes. And if I could join each and every one of them, I could. But, you know, my time has been spread so thin as it is. It was very hard. But I wanted to make an issue to get involved and make it a point to get involved into this one.
Well, obviously, like we said, September 14th, this is going to be a great event. Festivities begin at 5 o'clock. Bell time at 7 o'clock. We got Devon appearing. A lot of guys he knows from TNA, he just recently left. Wes Briscoe, Mike Knox, Garrett Bischoff, Samoa Joe, some guy named Hulk Hogan, Jay Lethal. We'll talk about Hulk and all in a second here, but there's
you can't hold on. You cannot forget SoCal Val. As far as I'm concerned, as pretty and as gorgeous she is, she's probably gonna be the steal of the show. I'm telling you, she's probably gonna steal the show. I don't know if you've ever seen SoCal Val in person, but she's a lot better than any Aces and Eights or Hulk Hogan or Kurt Angle or Jay Lethal or Samoa Joe, that's for sure.
Well, you know, you got a point there, Devon. And I'm sure none of the guys who are going to be on this show would disagree with you on that.
Absolutely.
No. But, you know, it's going to be an awesome event. They got several other events leading up to it. Devon, we know, a couple weeks ago did a guest bartending event. But let's jump in specifically about you a little bit here. Not long ago, after you had wrapped up with TNA, both Wes Briscoe and Mike Knox did an interview for a couple shows and mentioned you specifically about the respect that you have earned, and especially from the younger guys in Aces and Eights. What does that mean for you to be able to earn guys' respect at this point in your career?
Well, it's weird because, Bubba and I have been going for so long. I mean, we've been, on TV nonstop for over 15 years. And, other than guys like Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair, Sting, guys like that, who are icons in this business, those are guys like that are the only ones that pretty much go that long with being on TV and, keep reinventing themselves and, doing things that, keeps them in the spotlight. And I was glad to be able to do that and to be able to connect with the younger generation as they were coming in. And, my thing is, you can't be stuck in your old ways, Although you might have been brought up a certain way in the business, you have to be able to adapt to the new way of doing things. And I think that's always what me and Bubba have done. We've always adapted, and always changed with the times. Whatever was hip, we got into it. We did it. For a prime example, the Sons of Anarchy, which of course the spinoff was the whole Aces and Eights thing. Who would ever thought, me being a biker? It's just unheard of, and I enjoyed it. And to be able to take guys like, Mike Knox and Wes Briscoe and, Garrett Bischoff, take them under my wing and actually help those guys to, get the feel of being in front of that camera and, showing them the ins and the outs. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, because when I was their age, growing up in this business, a couple of guys took me under their wing, and taught me. So it's only good that you give back to the business that has been so good to me. And I continue to do it. And I think that's why my career has lasted as long as it has. I mean, you're always going to have haters out there that don't like you regardless of what you do, but you got to ignore them and think of the positives and think of the ones that do take the advice from you and actually prosper from it. And that's what I've done. And, I've got a lot of guys out there, both in WWE, TNA, that, I get phone calls from, and, they ask my opinion on certain things and things like that. And, I give them, what they want and, help them out as much as I possibly can in terms of in the ring, as well as outside the ring, any advice that I can give them. That's what it's all about. You got to be able to give back as much as it's given to you. And so for those guys that go public, what they said about me, it was an honor and a pleasure to be with them. And like I told them when we were in the ring that last night, don't worry, we will ride again. It may not be in TNA, but we'll ride again.
Well, obviously, I remember one specific thing that Wes had mentioned about when he was giving you props of respect and all. It was the little things that you would do, like if you guys with TNA or whatever would go to a town, even if you got in 2 hours earlier with your flight, you would stick around to make sure those guys would have a ride to wherever you were going to do your show, or just the little things in life to make sure guys will be prepared, which he really showed appreciation for.
Absolutely. I mean, I've made, a nice living in this business. And, I've done very well for myself, and I'm very happy and proud of that. Guys like, those guys who are just coming up and just learning, I know that, they're learning how to make that money, and they're learning how to make that money work for them. So it's only fitting that I could be there and help them out in any way, shape, or form, even if it is waiting 2 hours, for them to fly in and, for them to be able to jump in the car with me to save money. People got to understand you can't spend it all just because, you can't take it with you, because what happens if you don't go early, then what? Then you're screwed, and then you're broke. And Lord knows I don't want to be broke, and I don't want my friends to be broke either, because if they're broke and they wind up asking you for money. Lord knows you don't want that.
Yeah.
But no, on a serious note, though, but they're very good guys, and, they're very respectful, and if I had to wait 3 or 4 hours with them for them to come in, I would do that.
Well, obviously, speaking of working with younger kids and people just starting out in the business, you actually got the Team 3D Academy down there in Florida, where you're at. What is the biggest thing you try to teach kids or whoever comes in to learn professional wrestling?
Respect. Respect is the main thing. I think that's a lot of what people are lacking nowadays in this business with the young guys is respect, as well as the fans as well. You not like an individual because of a certain storyline or things like that, but respect these guys. There's a lot of stuff that whether I get on Twitter or I hear other people get on Twitter, listen, these guys are out there busting their behinds, putting their lives on the line. If you're that deep into the character where you don't like the character because of a storyline and this and that, that's fine. That's one thing. But respect these guys and understand what these guys are putting their bodies through. That's one of the things that I, teach my students, wholeheartedly is respect. Respect for the guy that you're in the ring with. Respect for the guys that, you looked up to or, you seen during the era that when you were growing up. Respect those guys. You got to understand, not everybody's going to be liked, but at least they're in there busting their behind, doing what they're doing. Give them that much. Give them props for at least doing that. A lot of these guys that sit there and say what they want to say and do what they want to do, they do these things, from the basement of their parents' house. And yet, still they're going to knock somebody for doing something, that they want to do, or being on TV and doing, what they love to do. Respect these guys. That's one of the things we teach, like I said, at the Team 3D Academy. Respect, and also, how to, conduct yourself in and out of the ring. You got to, because that will be the downfall. You can be the greatest wrestler in the world, But if you don't know how to conduct yourself outside of that ring, you're basically setting yourself up for suicide. And that means like a career that will never, ever take off. And I've seen so many guys who are so great, who did things in that ring that far blew anybody else away, but yet never made it to where they needed to be because of the fact of how they handled themselves in and out of the ring professionally.
Well, obviously, I would think that would go back to what you said first and foremost, respect of the business and everything else.
Yep, absolutely.
But,
I mean, again, it's a big thing. I think, back in the day, as kids, especially when I was growing up, during the Andre and Hogan era, you would see these guys that were bigger than life and that were monsters. And, as a kid, you would say, oh, I can't stand him. I hate him. He's mean. He's this and he's that. And whatever as a little kid that you would say, and, you would vent and rave at the TV screen. But then when you saw these guys in person, you were just like in awe. Whenever you went to go see them, like me at Madison Square Garden, things like that. I remember when Andre turned on Hogan, and, I was highly upset, as a kid. And I remember, oh, man, that Andre, I can't stand him. And then all of a sudden, Howard Finkel introduces him at Madison Square Garden. That man walks out, and he's blocking his tongue, literally. I mean, this man is huge. You are in awe. And you realize at that particular point in time that, this man is entertaining, but yet he's a scary individual. And at any particular point in time, this man would probably knock me out with just his finger. I mean, this man was so damn big, And, again, it's just one of those things where, I used to look at it as a kid and go, wow. Even though I didn't like you and I booed you and I hated you back in the day, I still respect you. We lost that with this new generation. This new generation feels like they can say and do anything they want and get away with it. But again, they hide behind their computers and they say what they say.
well, obviously, with the respecting, has there anybody that you would find very disrespectful towards you in the ring? It's one thing that, like you said earlier, not everybody's going to be liked. But has anybody brought their issue to the ring? Personally?
I got to stop you there because, anybody that ever even tried to remotely, or we felt that remotely try to disrespect us, we just beat them up. That's just the way it was. We definitely got the torch passed to us by the APA when we got to WWE. We were the guys that, at that particular point in time where, you put them in with the W because you know they were going to get tough because we weren't going to pull back. We were really going to knock the hell out of you. You had your APA, you had your Road Warriors. I was very happy to be put in the same category with those guys because those guys were legit badass. Those guys, you got in the ring with them, you better come to fight. And that was just the way it was. And that was just an accident. We took over right after, Farouk and Bradshaw, when they went their separate ways. Ron kind of retired and Bradshaw went into a singles career. The Dudleys were the ones to be with. We were the ones that, if you got in the ring, be prepared to fight. So we never really had that problem with anybody disrespecting us. So it was always a respect level because of, number one, what we accomplished, what we did, and just how we, in terms of a tag team, what we produce and what we can do out there. So we've never been disrespected in that level.
Well, with like you said, the APAs, the Road Warriors, and the style that not only as in your singles career, but as the Dudleys, that physical style that you worked, how does that affect you currently, day to day?
I'm not understanding the question. You mean in terms of...
obviously Mick Foley has taken a huge beating over his life.
Oh, you mean in terms of that? Well, in terms of that, I think, at one particular point in time, I had, I came in and I was, young kid and, in good shape and all that, and then I put on all this muscle, and then all of a sudden all that muscle kind of turned into fat, and then I had to get all of that off and get back into that good shape that I've been in. I mean, right now I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in, even when I first started in the business. And, I think I was starting to feel the effects of what we had done as a Dudley Boys, especially from ECW. got my body into shape and did what I had to do to maintain it and to continue, whether it was changing my eating habits, my training, things like that. When I did that, the body didn't hurt as much anymore. I wasn't trying to tackle on, 7 plates on each side and then trying to bench press it. We weren't going for that. We were trying to, we were more working and concentrating on your core and stamina than anything. More cardio, using your body weights, things like that. That's basically, I had to change up my whole routine. And so when I did that, basically the aches and pains started to drift away because I wasn't putting that much pressure on the joints anymore. And I wasn't out there, like I said, trying to tackle on all that weight. I was basically either using my body weight or, using not even half of the weight I used to use, but just more reps. Changing that made the body feel a whole lot better.
Well, you mentioned a little while ago that as a father, and you've done some pretty outrageous things in the ring. As a parent, when you had your downtime, how did you explain the wrestling business and what you did to your kids? Because obviously, I know you have a couple boys, and kids will be kids. How did you keep a thumb on that kind of thing?
Well, I threatened their lives if I ever saw them do it. So I didn't have a problem there. But I was honest with them. I told them, Daddy's doing a show. Although, like in ECW, the majority of, the bouts were between Balls Mahoney and New Jack and Spike. Listen, Daddy's going to work. Uncle Spike and Daddy are going out there and, we fight but we're good friends. We beat the hell out of each other, but we're good. Don't worry about it. Daddy's not mad at Uncle Spike, and Uncle Spike ain't mad at Daddy, so don't worry about it. I would be honest with them and tell them the truth. I wouldn't try to hide it. When you hide things from your kids, and this is my philosophy, when you hide it, that's when they tend to get wrong information from other people, as opposed to getting the right information and explaining it to them. I didn't lie to them. I told them we were in there, we were fighting, we were going at it, it was entertainment, and that's exactly what I told them. Yes, it is what it is, but, we're friends, and at the end of the day, we are friends. And that's what it boils down to. So I didn't lie to my kids. I let them know exactly, what was going on in the ring, and that was it.
So,
Jake, you had one more?
Yeah. So, Devon, say, hypothetically, your last match is coming up. Who would you want it to be with, and with what company?
Well, my last match, I don't know if it'd be my last match. And I think in order for me to have this match, I would have to probably go back to WWE. I would almost be positive about it. But I remember right before I left WWE on SmackDown, when Bubba and I were on SmackDown, and Taker and I and Bubba had that match where I think it was Great American Bash, and it was me and Bubba in a handicap match against Taker. And I remember, I think it was the next night, we were on Monday Night Raw, and I said to him, I said, big man, I said, I love the fact that we danced together. It was, me and Bubba against either you in a handicap or, me and Bubba against you and Kane and stuff like that. But I'll be honest with you, I would love that one-on-one with you. So if I had to go out tomorrow, my last match, I would want it to be with Taker.
How can you not want to work with Taker? He's
absolutely. I mean, it was a pleasure working with him. I worked with him, like I said, with him and Kane, in handicap matches, things like that. Him and The Rock, on SmackDown, and this and that. By the way, we put The Rock to a table, but we've had tremendous matches with Taker, but I've never had that one-on-one with him, and I've always wanted that. And I remember him looking at me and saying, "Don't worry, brother." He was like, "You and I will dance." And when Taker tells you something, he means it. When Taker tells you something, he means it. So I'm hoping I get to dance with him at least one more time before I really, really decide to hang it up. Whether it be, in the WWE, whether it be in his backyard, my backyard, I don't care where it is. Just as long as him and I can dance one day. That's all I want. Just me and him.
Well, obviously, and we're going to have to wrap up after this, but how you brought him up and you're just talking about him. Taker, what kind of guy is he? How much respect? Obviously, it's automatically built in because of their legacy, but dealing with that guy the first time you meet him, what was that like?
He's got a presence about him and an aura that not to mess with him. Not to, exactly what you see on TV that's Taker. That's why that character works so well for him, because it is him. And I don't care what anybody says. When you first meet him, he has a very cold presence to him. But a great guy. He is a great guy to hang with. He's a great guy to talk with. He has given me so much great advice. Back in 2002 when Bubba and I had separated, when I was on SmackDown and he was, and Bubba was on Raw, it was kind of like, he was Devon and I was Wes Briscoe, at that particular point in time. And he took me under his wing and gave me a shitload of, excuse my French, a lot of
advice. Now you can say it.
Gave me a lot of advice, and, he really, really helped me out during that singles career. Now, I might not have grasped it all, but it helped me in the long run, later on down the line. So Taker's a great, great guy. And, it's just great to be able to call him a friend.
Well, obviously, I was making light of it earlier, but the one other guy I do have to ask about, because he's going to be a part of Saturday, Hulk Hogan. You said you grew up in New York, as most fans know. What was it like to be able to work with him in TNA and have him a part of Saturday?
Well, my God, are you serious? You're talking about the Babe Ruth of pro wrestling. Listen, you've got a lot of kids out there, like I said, in respect. This is where it all boils down. They can say some nasty and rude things, but they don't understand. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, this business probably wouldn't be where it is today. So, you can say all you want about, Hulk Hogan needs to get off the TV and Hulk needs to get off of that and blah, 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 and give it a no. That man brings a present. And, Hogan, when, ticket sales were going great, when it was just, myself and Kurt and Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal. But the minute we announced Hogan, it started flying off the shelves. My thing is this. Hogan still could asses and seats. He's still immortal. Hulkamania will never die. And I know that. And I respect that man for what he's done and for what he brought to the business. A lot of people think they understand and know what goes on behind the scenes, but they don't know. They think they do, but they don't. And that's the sad part, because that man gets blamed for a lot of things, and it's not him. And that's what people don't understand. He has a great mind still for this business. He goes out there, and people, and if you look at the Impact show, when he comes out there, say what you want, but those people don't sit down when he comes out. I've seen it firsthand. It was a pleasure working with him during the whole Aces and Eights deal, and him to be able to take time out of his schedule to tell me that he'd be more than willing to come to the show and help out because he believed in the cause as well. Brother, that speaks volumes. That man didn't have to do that, but he did, and he's donating his time. He's spending his gas money. Didn't want anything from us. He wanted to come down and do it himself, and that right there, the Babe Ruth of pro wrestling, the man himself, Hulk Hogan, for him to sit there and tell me, don't worry about it, I'll be there, I'll get there, you just tell me when and where you want me to do it, I'll do it. For him to say that right there tells you how much respect I have for that man.
Obviously, I can agree with that, and I'm not going to, don't bring in my personal stuff on the air, but I've had a very good experience with Hulk on a personal level, and you hit it on the head there. And just to know the guy a little bit, and to deal with the guy. And we're going to be obviously talking to him about this show on the 14th, but you just hit on the head about the guy. If people only understood Terry Bollea, not just the character or what you hear behind the scenes and all that, for him to say, his word you can take to the bank, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm a huge fan of Hulk Hogan back in 1985 when he came back, and I'm a huge fan to this day. Although I've been trying to run him out of TNA with the whole Aces and H. But I'm a huge fan of him. As far as I'm concerned, he was absolutely right many years ago when he said Hulkamania will never die. It'll live forever.
Well, folks, Hope for a Single Mom presents Body Slamming Breast Cancer 2 at the Melbourne Auditorium. It's going to help a great cause in one of the great counties in Florida there. Festivities begin at 5 p.m., bell at 7. HopeForASingleMom.com for all the information.
Absolutely.
Yvonne's going to be there.
Hold on.
Everybody.
Make sure you tell them it's the Melbourne Auditorium in Melbourne, Florida. It's right there. And again, I don't mean to cut you off, but I got to do this right. You're going to have some of the TNA stars, some of the best there are, Samoa Joe, Jay Lethal, who's now with ROH, but still came down to help us, the beautiful and lovely and talented SoCal Val, and my brothers, who we never ride alone, the Aces and H.
Couldn't say it any better myself. Devon, thank you for a few minutes.
Thank you, my friend.
As you go through life, you're faced with a decision. Should I fit in or should I stand out? Blending in tends to be easier and safer, but there's something bold, something honest about standing out when you do it for the right reasons, for things you believe in, things that are important, things like beer. That's why we started brewing Yuengling Light Lager. For more than 40 years, big beer corporations have dominated the market with their idea of light beer. Each one is pale and forgettable as the next. We believe it's time for something different, not for the sake of being different, for the sake of being beer. A lower calorie beer with a true lager taste. The result is 99 calories, 100% lager, with a rich amber color unlike any other light beer. It's light beer that makes a statement, and we're happy to make it. Next time you order a light beer, make a statement of your own. Think of it as a declaration of independence. With Yuengling Light Lager, rethink your light beer. DG Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, folks. We actually now on the line have the lucky, I shouldn't say, I can say lucky, I guess, the recipient of the event on September 14th that we were talking to Devon Dudley about, Hope for a Single Mother. Right now we actually have Jennifer Brown on the phone. Jennifer, what's going on?
Nothing.
Well, first and foremost, got to ask you before we talk a little bit about it. How is your health as we stand right now?
It's great.
It's great?
Everything is clear, and I am enjoying my life once again.
Okay. Well, obviously, like we said, Hope for a Single Mother on September 14th at the Melbourne Arena to raise money for breast cancer research and for people like yourself. What are you looking forward to the most for this event?
Well, really, I just enjoy the wrestling. You know, I've been to one of their shows in Orlando, and you know, I actually just found out that one of our next moms is one of my best friends. I met her. She's a faculty member at the school that I attend. And so I have been so blessed, and I'm just looking forward to, you know, having a good time and paying it forward to our next mom.
Well, were you a wrestling fan before this whole thing was organized and you were notified about?
No.
Okay. Well, obviously, I want to get started out with. And like we had told people beforehand and have been mentioning to people, that this episode is actually going to be a very serious topic, and has been, and the conversation with you will be serious. So we hope normally, and I told you as well off air, that we normally like to have fun, laugh, joke, but we are serious when we need to be. Anyway, with you, again, how did you find out that you had breast cancer?
I was in the shower in March of 2012, and I had just come home from class, and I had pain in my left side. I did the self-breast exam and found a pretty, small mass on my left side. So I called my doctor immediately and went in, and, of course, they say with breast cancer you don't have pain, which obviously in my case was wrong. So they thought it was a cyst, and they sent me home. I had sworn that's probably what it was going to be. And about a month later, it just didn't resolve.
Okay. Now, obviously, were you concerned at first? You went home with some medication, and don't worry about it, it's just a cyst. Were you concerned at that time? Was cancer ever a thought in the back of your mind after the doctor didn't seem to be worried at that moment?
I always knew there was a possibility. I have a family history. My aunt had breast cancer 8 years ago, and so that always crossed my mind, but I always thought, I'm too young for this. This is crazy.
Okay. Now, obviously, you fast forward, the cyst doesn't go away. You still have some pain and whatnot. So you go back, they check you out again, and they tell you it's breast cancer at such a young age. What is going through your mind?
Well, originally they couldn't tell me it was breast cancer immediately. I begged for them to please send me for the ultrasound and the mammogram. They had said if my ultrasound was clear, I wouldn't have to have the mammogram. So I had the ultrasound done. Later that day, they sent me straight back for the mammogram and then straight back to see a radiologist, doctor, who was not able to confirm it, of course, at a biopsy, but he did show me pictures of what cancer looks like and what non-cancer looks like or whatever, and I kind of knew at that point that, here we were facing something that I would never have imagined or wanted to face ever.
Well, and here's the thing. Were you, I guess this is a two-parter, but we talked about a little bit about it earlier, because you and me were talking through text and whatnot. Were you one to know your body beforehand, and how do I say this? I'm trying to think. Well, go ahead and answer that first part as I rethink of that second part of the question. Were you one that really know yourself and know that, hey, this is right besides the pain?
Yeah, as a female, you're usually very in tune with your body. So your body just knows when something's wrong, and I just kept having this, pounding thought in the back of my head, like, what if it is breast cancer this young?
Okay, well, I actually did think of it, but was it you that really persisted with your personal physician, your gynecologist, everybody down the line, as far as your normal medical team? Were you the one to have to push to say, hey, something's not right here, we need to investigate this further?
Yeah, I think I was a big part of it just because I trusted my own gut instinct, but I also had a very, very, very good medical team.
Okay. Well, so what did they do for you once they discovered and did the biopsy? Okay, this is cancer. Where are we going from here?
Well, I met with my surgeon, who actually is no longer with the practice. He left when MEMA got sold to Health First. But I met with him on May 23rd of 2012, surrounded by my mom, my aunt, and two of my very, very good friends, lifelong childhood friends. We were sitting there, and my mom had always been one to be in complete denial. My mom was with me when he walked in, and my doctor couldn't even face me at that point. When he did finally turn around and tell me it was positive, he had tears in his eyes, and then I lost it, and I could only imagine what was going through not only my family's minds, but my mind as well, and my friends' minds who, all loved and cared about me dearly. And their option was basically to have a bilateral mastectomy because it was aggressive. I had stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma, and because it was so aggressive and I was so young, the only option really that I had was to have the bilateral mastectomy.
Well, obviously, how long of a downtime was it after they did the surgery and felt that everything looked good?
Well, really, you don't really get, I guess the good news was when I had surgery, I had clear margins. That's a big plus with anybody who has breast cancer. I did have a lymph node positive. I have had further testing since, and chemo and everything, and they do PET scans, and they do lab work to check your tumor markers and all that kind of stuff. And so I probably knew, right after surgery was a pretty good sign with clear margins, and, you just continue to go for your follow-ups.
And obviously the follow-ups are key. Now, did they give you the normal 5-year rule of thumb, or what did they tell you after as you were telling me, chemo and radiation, and you did follow-up treatment after the surgery for several months?
Yes. Yes, I did 4 months of chemo from July 3rd to October 17th, and then I did radiation from November 17th to December the 19th. I have continued to see my oncologist. First it was every 6 weeks, and now it's every 4 months for follow-up blood work and scans and all that kind of stuff. And so far, we've been very blessed. We are clear, and everything is looking great. So I'm very, very, very happy. And I had my final surgery in June. That was 3 or 4 surgeries later. I had to have a hysterectomy because I am very young, and your ovaries is what produces the hormones, which my cancer was estrogen and progesterone positive. So 3 or 4 surgeries later, here we are doing well. We had an amazing summer. My kids and I had so much fun together, and we just look forward to, a bright future.
Well, obviously, and you can obviously probably speak on this best, with women, a lot of them that I know have self-consciousness as far as whether it is breast size, or a lot to do with their breast in general as far as their self-confidence. Am I sexy, and is this, is that? There's tons of questions that run through your mind. But because you've dealt with this at such a young age, how is your psyche as far as that stuff? And has your opinion changed of yourself?
It's actually pretty funny you would ask that. I actually have chosen not to do the nipple reconstruction. I am one of those people, since chemo and cancer, I am stronger than I feel like I've ever been. And I feel like your breasts don't define who you are. It's your heart and, your faith in God and, your family and your Christian values and all those kind of things. And I just don't feel like body image is one of those things that should really define who we are. I mean, no matter what, you're a woman, you're beautiful.
Okay. Well, yes, and that makes total sense that, you look at the rest of the package, not just one physical trait. But
yeah.
Would you say your opinion was different prior to going through this?
Yeah, I would say that, before I started going through all this, I had self-esteem issues, and, you don't always feel beautiful. Women are very judgmental themselves. But I say, since going through this and realizing that, life is way too short to sweat the small stuff, I've realized that, you're beautiful in your own skin. You just have to be you and keep it real.
Okay, well, obviously, like we've mentioned and going to continue mentioning, that this event is for single mothers, to give hope for those single parents. When you found out about what was going on with you, and I know I asked you when we were texting back and forth as well, how did you explain this to your children who were and still are very young? Because there's things we don't understand as adults, let alone trying to explain something serious to children.
I basically just, reassured my kids every day that I loved them and that Mommy was going to do everything she could to get better. That I was sick, but it was only for a very short period of time. We moved in with my parents so that my kids would have the stability and the reassurance of, comfort and home and peace of mind and stuff like that. And every third weekend in between chemos, like 3 days before my next chemo treatment, I would take them out of town for the weekend, just me and the three of them, and we would spend the weekend together with, Mommy being Mommy. And that reassured them that, there is still, Mommy is still around or whatever. And that's really what I did, just to, reassure them that, we were going to beat this.
And you were telling me some interesting things with that through text, if I can mention here, like when you were getting your surgeries and different things, that the kids would, which I find it was cool, the kids would come up and see you in the hospital and just hang out and watch TV. Or right after the diagnosis, you guys were actually on went to a family reunion at Disney, and you were trying to still be involved some way, somehow with the kids, which is awesome.
Yes. Yeah, it was really just to keep peace of mind and sanity for both them and for me. Having your mind on other things really helped get me through this. Like, my family kept us busy with vacations, or, church groups on Wednesday nights, or, church on Sundays, or, whatever. And, my family and all my friends gathered around us so close-knit that, I never had to doubt that I had a support team. It was wonderful, for family. And then when I met the girls from Hope for a Single Mom, that was even more wonderful, because that was, actually adding an extended family to my life.
Well, that would bring me to my next question. How did you end up meeting them?
I was going to then was MEMA Cancer Center. Kristen Tawney was my Cancer Center counselor. She works at the Cancer Center, and she had come to me and mentioned that Hope for a Single Mom was looking for a single mom to support for the year of 2012, and would I be interested in meeting them? And I said, of course. I'm always interested in meeting somebody new. I'm a people person. I'm outgoing, I'm fun, I'm spontaneous. So I thought, why not? It's just another adventure. God puts certain people in your life at a certain time, and, I just felt like, this was the time when I needed somebody more than anything. So Kristen had reached back out to them and gotten their number, and I reached out to Donna Sullivan one afternoon, and it was the week before my last chemo treatment, and she had said, do you want to come meet us for lunch at Long Doggers? And I said yes. And we went to Long Doggers in the Atlantic, who is a wonderful sponsor of Hope for a Single Mom. Thank you for all you guys do. We met for lunch for about an hour, and by the time the hour was over, Denise and Donna had asked me if I wanted to be their mom of 2012. And, of course, I said, absolutely. And, I've been pretty close with the girls since.
Well, after you realized how awesome they are, which they are both awesome, how much did it mean to you that, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, Donna that had survived breast cancer herself. But as a
Denise,
founder,
Denise,
excuse me,
Denise was the one that survived breast cancer. Donna is her sister.
Okay, but that still leads back to the question. With one of the founders surviving the disease herself, how much more did that mean to you that you, not only are they trying to help you out, support you, but she can say, hey, I dealt with this, I dealt with that. Just point out little things that, because you're so overwhelmed, that you can point out, or she can point out little things to look out for.
Yeah, it was very nice. In fact, she was my first fellow cancer, I guess, teammate, you could call it, that I met with. We have definitely remained close. We've definitely talked about our stories an awful lot. She actually brought the whole team from Hope for a Single Mom to my last chemo treatment. Thank you guys. That was so awesome. And we had a really good time. We had cake, we had cupcakes, and I mean, it was nice to have that sisterhood with somebody who knew exactly what I was going through.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'll wrap up with one more question here. And if there's something you can tell future breast cancer patients or ones that are dealing with it now, what is the biggest advice that you think you can give based on your experience with this so far?
I would say definitely reach out for help when you need it. Definitely, don't be afraid to, go to a counselor and ask for help. Don't be afraid to go to your family. Reach out. And also, have your faith. Know that saying your prayers and that God has a plan really will get you through this experience, because really God does some wonderful things. I mean, I am a true example of what a survivor is, and I am so proud today that I kept my faith and I asked for help when I needed it, and that I had such an amazing team of supporters, from my family to my friends to Hope for a Single Mom. Thank you, all of you, for everything you've done. You brought me through an incredible experience, and I'm so much stronger today because of it.
Nice. Well, I actually do have one more. Is there anything that you would tell anybody that hasn't dealt with breast cancer or cancer in general, whether it's self-exams or whatever the case may be?
I would definitely say, if you've never dealt with cancer, within yourself or your family or something, please go to somebody who truly knows all about it, an oncologist or something. Do not get online and read things off the computer. They are lies. They will scare you. You will dig yourself a deeper hole than you've ever dealt in your life. So please, go to somebody who's actually, knowledgeable about it, can give you the information, can explain to you the statistics, reach out to other families who have been there firsthand. Somebody who really knows what they're talking about. Don't scare yourself with all the crap online.
But would you also say that like you said, you knew yourself, would you tell everybody, and this is for both male and female, would you say to really know yourself and notice even the slightest change?
Oh, yeah. If you notice any changes whatsoever, from, mood to the way you feel to energy to, a mark on your skin or whatever, please go to the doctor and have it looked at, because you never know. Cancer comes in so many different forms, so many different styles and everything else. Guys, please get your colonoscopies. Girls, please get your mammograms.
Yeah, because honestly, at the end of the day, and I've had my experience with a cancer myself. And I've always found it, the doctors most aren't there to scold you. That if you have questions, they will provide you with information, like you said, and try to provide you with the correct information. So don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yep.
Well, Jennifer, have fun on the 14th, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, to get together. Obviously, it's to raise money, but have fun, enjoy it with your kids, and not put a notch in for another experience with it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, you still there?
Yeah.
Hey, what'd you think? Feel all right with it?
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know Lana said you were a little nervous, so.
Oh, I'm not nervous. I've done so many of these now with these girls. I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah. That's why I said, is that the kids in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I said, you know, that's why I reached out to you or through text and said, you know what, I might as well, just the way she made it sound like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I better reach out to her just to, you know, make sure everything's cool. You know, try to build up a little bit of a rapport or whatnot.
Yeah, I know some girls, like, are really comfortable talking about it, and I know some of the girls that are like, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to think about it, I just want it to go away.
Oh, yeah, but that's why I said, hey, let's, and I try to tell everybody, hey, like I told you, and I said there as well, hey, let's be, you know, we will be honest, but, hey, it's something that you got to be serious with as well.
Yeah.
So, but, all right, I will let you get to the kids.
When does that air?
I am gonna put it together with the interview we did with Devon. And have you met him at all yet? Have you met Devon yet?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Devon and I are good friends.
Oh, such a sweet guy. But yeah, I'm gonna pair that up with his, and they'll be out probably over the weekend. But I'll let you know.
Okay.
All right.
All righty. Well, thank you.
Go have fun with the kids. Go have fun with the kids. We'll talk soon.
These days, there's no shortage of people ready to tell you what to do. I'm not one of those people, because I'm here to talk about Yuengling Lager from America's oldest brewery, a company that was told what to do several times over and generally ignored the advice. I could say that that's a reason to drink it, but that's your call. Some folks like beer that stands for something. Others like beer that tastes like something. If you're looking for taste, look for the rich amber color of Yuengling Lager. It's a sign of a well-crafted, distinctly satisfying lager. If you want a beer that stands for something, consider the beer that stood for something since 1829. For 6 generations, Yuengling has chosen brewing right over brewing big, every time. Yuengling just stands for beer, says something about Yuengling Lager and the people who drink it. I won't tell you what to drink, but think about it. We've survived for 185 years because we make darn good beer. Yuengling, American-owned, family-operated. DG Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.